Hello again, Larry here one more time with a hopelessly shaky cell phone video and probably aimlessly wandering, babbling video at that. Here to, I don't know, dispel some myths about these towers that I've created, and maybe to show you exactly what's going on here and why it works. Now, I've gotten a lot of messages from people on Facebook, on YouTube, and various aquaponics forums saying that these things couldn't possibly work near as well as the ZipGrow towers from Bright Agritech because theirs are patented and they have all these years of research and development behind them. And apparently they must work because shortly after I started putting plans on the internet, showing how to build these things, Nate Story made sure and contacted me and sent me a little nasty gram on one of the aquaponics forums, basically giving me the same speech like you heard Lars Ulrich from Metallica giving the courts over the Napster deal, saying that I, basically taking food out of his family's mouths or whatever. That's not the case. That's not even remotely true. I don't sell these things. All I did is, well, I was going to build a large-scale greenhouse using the ZipGrow towers, and then I saw the price of them and could not justify it. I mean, $68 for a 5-foot long tower, $50 for a 3-foot long tower. Well, and you look at it and you know for a fact that his original prototype was using a 4-inch vinyl fence post sleeve, which would explain why he sells 5-foot and 3-foot towers. I mean, those fence post sleeves come in 8-foot lengths, so that would probably explain it, although he won't publish that information. And as for the media inside, you can, I've used media of all different sorts in here just as a test to see what works and what doesn't work. And I found that there pretty much isn't anything that won't work. He says that his media, which is made from recycled or actually downcycled drinking water bottles, creates this massive biological surface area, this, that, and the other thing, supports the plants, inhibits algae growth, which I've never had a problem with that. I've been using these in my downstairs system for over a year, never had an algae growth problem inside of them. I've found that any media that you can put in there that water can trickle through and will actually support the plants will actually work just fine. In my case, I use Metallica brand pond filter media, which is down here. As you can see, I use green. It's not their highest density, but it works. It's rigid. You sandwich 2 of these pieces together like that inside of a tower, and there's enough pressure in there, it will hold your plants in place perfectly fine. I use the green stuff. I found that works best for my application. They do make they make a blue one, which is a higher density, and this would probably still work. I may give this a shot in my towers for the other side of my little food pod out here. They also make a very high density gray, which I would not use because, granted, it is very high density, lots of biological surface area there, but it's also extremely hard to squeeze, and you're going to have a hard time getting your plants into that. In the case with my towers, like I said, these are nothing more than 4-inch PVC drain tubing that I took plain old bubble level and laid down on the side and traced, down the side with a marker on each one and cut out a 1-inch slot. And then I cut 2 strips of that green Metallica media, slid it in there. And let's see, as you can see, water trickles through this stuff perfectly fine. Totally saturates the tower. And all these things have feeding them on the top is just like what Bright Agritech uses. This is plain old drip line irrigation, feed tubing, I guess you might call it. And these towers sit on a very long decking screw. So you can slide them forward and backward. If you need to tip the tower backward, if you have water splashing out the front, you can slide it backwards. You can actually put it on the back side. Hang your tower back there if you really need a steep angle. Now these towers are only 42 inches long, which is perfect in my case since I grow under grow lights. The 5-foot towers, they wouldn't work under grow lights because, I guess they would work, but the only thing is you're going to have about a foot of wasted space on the bottom of your tower that you can't use because the light can't penetrate that far. My towers land in a little receiving cup there, which is just another 4-inch PVC end cap. And it goes through a little tube and drains into this small scale deep water culture planting system. It's not an NFT because the water in this tube is actually, as you can see, it's halfway up there. Well, look at a cup here and you can see that the water actually comes up halfway into the cup. So it's a deep water culture system, but it's not a large scale one. What else here? Oh, on top, I guess I should have showed this a little clearer earlier here. I use an overhead reservoir on my system. It's a 4-inch Schedule 40 PVC pipe that floods about halfway up. As you can tell by looking at this cap over here, it's dead center in there. And there's a vent here, a hole drilled in the top so it can't pressurize. So that thing fills up halfway, and these little poly drip lines go into a compression fitting, which is actually made for copper tubing, but they just press in there so you can replace these if you need to. They never plug up. I don't use any filtering or anything. But the way this works is that this reservoir up on top fills up halfway, and all these towers receive a constant flow of about 7 gallons per hour of water, which is what they say that the ZipGrow towers are supposed to have. And I found that it works just fine. These things never plug up, and that's about it. But like I said earlier in the video here, the notion behind patenting something, anybody can get a patent on anything. I'm not saying that Bright Agritech does not deserve a patent. It's one of those things where if you're first in line, you can get a patent on anything. In the case of the ZipGrow towers, you look at their patent, the device itself is not patented. It's the application, the method of it. Just like when back in the early 90s, when Dolby Labs was all popular with their ProLogic surround sound. There was nothing special about that. Phase cancellation has been around forever, and that's all surround sound is. If you have two signals in your left and right that are common, but one of them's out of phase, guess what? It's going to go to your back speakers. If the signal is common in both channels and it's in phase, then it's going to come out of your center. And that's all there is to it. But Dolby got a patent on that. So, like I said, these things do everything that a ZipGrow tower can do. The only difference is that I'm not spending $68 for a 5-foot tower or $50 for a 3-foot tower. I can build each one of these for about $19, $18.50, $19 each, and they work just as well. I've used every type of pond filter media in there. I've even went as far as using plain old polyester batting inside of these things. And yeah, it works. It doesn't support plants well, but it does work. So I guess if people want to say that there's something special about the media inside of a ZipGrow tower, go ahead and believe that. There probably is. I mean, he's paying a company to mass produce the stuff for him, and he's probably paying a fence post sleeve manufacturer to make his, the body of his towers now. And that's the special part about it. You can market anything if you put enough brain power behind it. I don't plan on marketing these. I don't plan on selling these. I've made the information available online for anybody who wants to build these. And like I said, these things work perfectly fine for my use. I haven't planted these yet. That'll be in another video. I don't use the method that Nate uses for his to plant mine. There's no need to actually pull the media out of these things. All you have to do is, reach in here, spread out the media, and drop your starter plant in. And in my case, my plant starters are made out of nothing more than newspaper and sphagnum peat that is rolled up in a cigarette roller. And you start your seeds in there, and after your plants get a certain height, you just drop them into your towers like this, and that stuff decomposes, washes away. And even after you pull your plants out of here, you don't have to pull the media out and clean anything out of there, because as the roots build up, it creates more mass inside of that tower, which means, more biological surface area. So that's about it. I thought I would post this just to clear things up, and maybe, I'm not trying to convince anybody to stop buying the ZipGrow towers. By all means, if you can justify that expense and you can afford it, then certainly buy them. In my case, it was cost prohibitive. I was going to do a large-scale greenhouse, and I saw that price and said, no, I'll just make my own towers, and I'll go with smaller little food pods like this instead of a full-scale, large greenhouse. So anyway, that's it. I'll post another video when I'm ready to plant these, just to show you how easily that works as well. Thanks a lot. Bye.